currently in a pause, and what follows that pause is uncertain at this point. Most likely, the U.S. will come up with some form of proposal. I hope that it will be a step-by-step proposal that gives concrete steps that North Korea should take to denuclearize and to eliminate its missile program as well. The ultimate goal is complete denuclearization as well as elimination of their long-range nuclear systems. I think it's important to focus on those two. There are certainly other issues that we have to deal with North Korea, that both South Korea and the U.S. have to deal with, but focus on those two. So with that ultimate goal, first step might be a complete freeze of not just all testing, but all activity associated with their nuclear missile programs, and initial steps at verification. A second step would be dismantlement of some facilities, and I think it's important to have the end goal clear, but also to have concrete steps on the path to that end goal for both denuclearization and for elimination of their long-range missiles. Mm-hmm. In order to get full sanctions relief, I believe North Korea needs to offer more than a freeze of activity or even dismantlement of one facility. In general, we should be offering reversible steps on our part, which would include sanctions for potentially reversible steps that North Korea takes, and then more significant steps, including deeper relief and sanctions, and including international sanctions, for steps that they take that really involve dismantlement. North Korea has a very substantial military. I believe South Korea's military is substantially better, although the North has more personnel under active duty. South Korea's capabilities alone, in my view, are far superior to North Korea's conventional military capabilities. What North Korea brings is primarily its nuclear missile capabilities. Secondly, its special forces, which can be involved in both sabotage and preliminary operations. And third, there is a risk that they have a biological weapons program, as well as we believe they have a chemical weapons program. I believe that South Koreans and Americans can fight through both conventional and chemical, and can soundly defeat North Korea. And the big risks to us and to North Korea, should they go that way, would be for any use of nuclear or biological weapons if they have them. Mm-hmm. First of all, the strategic weapons, I think, will continue to be long-range missiles, and they've had a succession of missiles since the Taepodong-2 and KN-08 and other systems that we've seen. Secondly will be nuclear weapons, and moving from fission weapons to, some people call them fusion weapons or hydrogen bombs, but that have more destructive capacity. And it appears that they've moved up that ladder also. And the third strategic weapon, in my view, for them is potentially biological weapons, and we should be concerned about that. And they need to understand that if they threaten to use or use biological weapons, that there will be very severe consequences from South Korea and from the United States. Let's distinguish between possible use and testing. I think Kim Jong-un is smart enough not to come anywhere close to using long-range missiles or nuclear weapons, or if he has them, biological weapons against South Korea, the United States, or Japan, or others. He knows that would result in the destruction of their country and his regime. So on the testing side, I think that based on his past history, as well as the history of his father and grandfather, that over time they'll come back to testing as a demonstration that the world, including the United States, should pay attention to them. So there's a pause currently. I think it's most likely that pause will end at some time. Historically, it's often happened on American holidays, including on July 4th several times. So he will want attention. He will want to have the sense and to be able to show his own people that he's an important world player. And so I think he comes back to testing of missiles and nuclear weapons sometime in the next year, most likely, if there's not progress on the negotiations. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to predict what Kim Jong-un will and won't do. I hope that Steve Biegun, the negotiator who's moving forward as Deputy Secretary of State, and the team will develop a concrete set of proposals, and we'll put them on the table. And there'll be proposals that our South Korean allies are fully on board with for step-by-step progress toward disarmament, and that they'll do that well before 6 months pass. I do think that more than likely that Kim Jong-un will undertake other testing of some form. It may be short-range missiles, medium-range missiles, it may be long-range missiles. It may be a nuclear test again, but he will want to do that to gain attention, particularly if negotiations are not moving forward. That doesn't mean we should be forced to negotiate. That means it's still, it's in our interest to put our proposals on the table and to make it clear to the world that if progress is not being made, the reason is Kim Jong-un and not the United States or South Korea.